Can you hear me now? Somebody forgot to turn her microphone on. Okay. So I'm going to assume you can hear me because my microphone's working now and I see my bar moving. Okay. So I was reading through this pattern and they're wanting you to cut them in sections. So, hello, Linda. I don't understand why because these are some really small sections, right? You can tell by my fingers. And I've enlarged my pattern. She also wants you to sew strips together. Piper, stop it. Sorry about that, ladies. Stop it. Um, so like they're saying, cut apart section, uh, cut 1 and 2 out together. And then 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, and 15, 16. Hello, Gladys. I think they're thinking so it's easier to do, but I'm used to doing all of these, right? But I did like her suggestion of sewing strips together. However, she didn't tell you how wide the strips should be. So, in order not to waste fabric, I looked at one of my other sections. Yes, I think so. Actually, there's something out there, and it's probably the neighbor's dog that they never keep on a leash. Um, so they suggest sewing strips together. So B1 to B2, B2 to B3, B3 to B4. So you make one big section and then you lay your pieces on it. Well, that's kind of out of what I would normally do. I don't know if you found that same issue, Karen, or not. Um, I enlarged my pattern, but I think what I'm going to do, because 8 and 9 go together, 4 and 5, 1 and 2, and 6 and 7. And they're using, so B1 and B2, B3 and B2. What else did they say? 13 and 14? Okay, 13 and 14 is B1 and B4. So they don't even show you sewing B1 and B4 together in a strip. So I just pressed the first 2 of the 4 fabrics. Let me get these other pieces cut. I decided to cut a 3-inch strip, not by width of fabric, but by the width of what I purchased. So 14 inches, 12 inches. One is 14 and 3 of them are 12-inch. 4 of them are 12 inches. So let me get those pressed and cut real quick. I've got 2 of them done. B3 and B4 are going to be a little shorter, but that's okay. I think I'll still be able to use the fabric without any problems. I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can still see me a little bit. I don't know why. It's just out of the normal for how I normally do paper piecing, so it's kind of thrown me off a little. I probably should have read the instructions sooner so I could just get right into sewing it. I've already got my threads changed in my machine and ready. I hope you can still hear me okay. Probably should have my microphone on. But I'm going to go ahead and press and starch each of my pieces. That way, if I need to cut more, I don't have to press it again. Yeah, she's looking out this window now, so it's hard telling. She'll bark like that if deer are out here too. Can't believe how big she's gotten. She's probably over 50 pounds now. She's usually pretty good anymore, not like out of control. She'll lay here and look out the window. I don't know about you guys, but it is really cold here. It had been windy. Looks like it's snowing again. And then after this one, I just have one more to starch and press and cut my sections. I think what I'm going to do instead of actually sewing the strips together, I think I'm going to look at what I need for those sections when I get to them and sew those together. And I don't think I'm going to cut the pattern apart, even though she said something about cutting it apart. I don't think I'm going to cut it apart. Oh, look, I got wax left on mine. At least it's not on my iron. All right, let's get this cut. I'm going to be out of screen for a minute, ladies. Oh, I cut my pieces. What did I do with my other ruler? Oh, that's interesting. There it is. Oh, it's not long enough. That's why. Sorry. Salvage off. I'm saving all my salvage. I think I want to try a project with it. I've got a little tote almost completely full now. Here's that one. I don't know if you can see me. I'm hoping you can still hear me. I can't read the chat right now. I was trying to have all this ready in time. Awesome. Did you enlarge it then, Karen, or are you just going to go ahead and stick with it even though you were rethinking it? I do really like the fabric choices. I hope they make the Blue Heron look okay. We'll find out after this first one is sewn, I imagine. And then I got this book. I forget what it's called. I think it's for the New York beauty blocks. And I'm thinking that other fabric I have that's going to go with this Blue Heron might be good to do one of the sections of the New York beauty to go around the corners of this. We'll see. I can really smell the wax that they used on this fabric. Wow. Now this one's got wax on it too. I might get it on my iron. Do the rest of you have problems with your batiks like that? With the wax still being on them? I don't use them very often, but I thought it would be perfect for this Blue Heron. I have to look at my sheet to see who this is from. Yeah, I've got printer ink supposed to be coming too, but I got all mine printed. And yours is really tiny too, isn't it, Karen? Because you kept it the original size where I enlarged mine. All right, there's all four of them. Let's get this one folded up. Didn't say to do five. I need to look and see if five is in that one. I'm going to need to, yes, B5, so I'm going to have to get B5 out and press it too. And I was really going to have all this ready, but you know, things happen and it didn't happen. So I guess we'll just do it on live stream because it shows this is part of what you have to do, right? All right, now let's do B5. Get pressed. And how big is that one? It's not very big. I think I'm still going to cut the same um, amount, a 3-inch section. That way, um, whatever, because I'm not going to use much of it. That way I can use it on other sections. I did see your live, Susan. I thought it was still live. I guess I'd come on right as it was ending. And I'm like, why does it look like it's not live? Well, because it wasn't, because I had just caught your end of it. I'm like, I don't know how I keep missing her lives. I know what time she comes on. Now, I didn't seem to have any problems this time. I left my laptop open after I scheduled the stream. And once I got all my cameras working, I was really surprised how cheap those cameras were. They may not be the best quality video, but at least they allow you guys to see parts I want you to see. Because that little red camera was like $20. And then the other one I bought on clearance for like 30. And I have a really expensive Pentax um, DSLR, but I am not going to use it for videos. I just don't want to put that much wear on it. Because I like to go out and take photographs, and I want it to be able to take photographs for me. And I know streaming with them is hard on them. A lot of wear on them. And I paid too much money for that. Because I had to save up for almost 2 years to buy that camera. So I'm not going to use it. I don't know how some of these drink so much and the rest don't. I just don't understand. I know it's the quality of the fabric, but bought all these at the quilt shop. I didn't go to Joann's for them. I know the quilt shop has a better fabric. Now, I know everybody says you can use your batiks either side, but just like my solids, I try to keep them um, the same way they came off the bolt because, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that's the side that the manufacturer wants you to use as the right side. So I always try to keep them like right now it's folded so that when I cut it again, the side the manufacturer wanted me to use is on the outside. And I don't know, I don't even know if you guys can hear me when I'm over there. All right. So I have all of these cut into 3-inch strips, all 3 fabrics. And I think what I'm going to do is get a piece from 1 and 2. I'm keep them in order here. 2 needs a long, narrow piece. Probably help if I have my scissors. So I'm just going to cut it off here so that I have enough. B2. I should probably these close so I can see which is which. B1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That way I don't mix them up. And then B1 isn't a very big piece. So we're going to go here with it. All right. I'm going to hold it up so I can see it through the light. I'm going to press it in place. And then this paper I didn't fold because I did it right before the live stream. I'm going to go ahead and fold it now. I can get it back out of the way so I can trim off my fabric. Guess I need my rotary cutter over here. These two fabrics, get these fabrics out of the way. B1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can hear me when I walk away. That's awesome. Okay, now let's get this trimmed. And what I'm going to do is trim 1/4 of an inch away from this paper. And I have a ruler right here. It has a 1/4 inch mark on it. I don't have a what is that called? Add a quarter. I don't have an add a quarter ruler. I just use a regular ruler. So I'll cut 1/4 inch here for my seam. I'm going to need to get my other tote out for the scraps. Funny, this cute little cabinet's got a metal drawer in the bottom. There, I can put all my scraps in that. I should probably do a baggie with everyone. Alright. Now, I need to be able to cover that. So should probably get my light box out. If I fold it down like this, I know you probably can't see me, so I'm going to fold it down like this. Like this, and this section comes clear over here, but I had it up the other way at the light. And since it's hanging over a little, I'm going to take the iron to it because it'll help hold it in place for when I get ready to sew. I just take the iron over here and it will hold that together. Now, if you had fabrics that are not batiks, make sure you do right sides to right sides. So the fabric that goes on first will be right side up, and this piece of fabric will be right side down. So we're going to go over to the other camera. Move my scissors. I'm going to do my best to stay out of the way so you can see. And we're going to fold our paper back. And I am going to sew right along the edge of that paper. I'm not going to sew on it. I have not changed my stitch length either. So the best way I found, sorry, my allergies, is to bring your needle down a little bit to see where you're at. And I know my hand's going to be in the way here, but it'll be out of the way in a minute. And then when you bring your needle down, you can see this edge, the edge of the fabric is right here, or the edge of the freezer paper, and you're in the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle. And then, do I have needle down? I like to have needle down. And then I'm going to sew all the way until I'm off the fabric. And just take your time. You don't have to go fast. It's not a race. And then once I'm off, take and fold this fabric back. And just for my own, I'm going to see if I have covered. And I have a 1/4 of an inch. My fabric, oops, let's get in the camera. My fabric stops right here, and this is the end of section 2. Now the next section is O that I'm going to sew on, and I need to fold my paper again, and I do not have O prepped. Sorry about that, ladies. I probably should have finished prepping fabrics. So we're going to fold it up. And I'm going to leave this first piece just as it is until I get ready to sew next piece to it. Let's see. Actually, I can probably trim it. Now that I said that, I can probably go ahead and trim this off, because it's going to come way down in this area. So we'll go ahead and trim that just so it's out of the way. Yep, let's press this so that the second fabric stays down. There we go. And then I'm going to cut my 1/4 of an inch seam. I should probably move that camera a little bit, it looks like. Hold on, ladies. I'm going to move it just a little bit, see if I can get it to where it's over that way some, since I keep getting out of camera. Too much. There we go. All right. So that's the first 2 pieces. So the first 2 pieces are sewn. And we need O. Of course we do. I don't know if you ladies remember, but I had 2 colors for the O. So what I think, since the Blue Heron actually gets darker, oh, my camera here is not. Good grief. You ladies should yell at you. Susan, um, let me, hang on. I'm going to put my phone number in here, and as soon as you write it down, I'm going to delete it so that you can text me or call me, and I'll tell you how. It is not hard, okay? Yeah, I don't I don't I wouldn't use them either, Susan. Okay. Now let me know as soon as you get it so I can delete it. It's not hard, and I'm using a free program to do it. You're welcome. Okay, looks like I gotta go to YouTube to get it deleted. Content. Live. Oh, for crying out loud. Refresh. Karen, can you delete it? It might take a minute for me to get there. I don't want it in studio. I don't know why that program won't let me do anything in there. There we go. There it went. All right. Sheesh. Hello, Kathy. How are you? What did it say? All right. I got it deleted. Okay, so Susan, when you want to know, just message me and I'll tell you if it's a good time to call, okay? And I'll help you. It was just a $20 camera and a little $30 camera. They're here, I'll show you how little. Hold on. I'm gonna pick my laptop up. I don't want to move the cameras, but I'm gonna pick the laptop up to show you. So maybe you see that? That's one of the cameras. You can see how big it is. It's no bigger than the palm of my hand. And the other camera is just a little square one that I have sitting in a very precarious position. And but it allows me to reduce the light from my sewing machine. Awesome. It reduces the light, which means I don't have to worry about the sewing machine light. And so I got the two cameras. Let's see if I can fix this again. Okay. I got the two cameras, and I got a USB hub that has like 7 plugs. And then I got a little microphone, and I'm thinking the microphones weren't that much either. $15, $10 or $15, and it came with 2 microphones, which I only need one, but I have one on charge. So if the other one dies, I can always plug it in and turn the other one on. And the program I'm using is an open source free program. They are considered a webcam, yes. Okay, so what I was saying is for the beak and the legs, if you remember, I had said, now that I've lost the picture, that it, oh, hold on, that a blue heron's beak and legs are actually the same color, right? Let's get this. So their beak and legs are actually the same color. However, from this knee down, they do get darker. So what I think I'm going to do, because I've got two colors, right? And I think that this color is going to be used for the beak, and then this color will be used for the bottom of the leg, and this used for the leg as well. And and I actually like this program because I can move myself off to the side, and I can put up this image over here. And then that opening image that I put up today, because I was running behind, is just an image I made and I overlaid everything on the screen. So for this next piece, which is O, I'm going to use the lighter orange for the beak. I'm just hoping that they turn out looking okay. This turns out looking okay. Then it may not become. Yeah, it is very pretty, but like I guess I could take a light from this. That might be a better option. What do you think? Take one of the light areas from this for the beak and the top of the legs, and then use the darker section for the legs, because I wasn't real keen on this. I could probably do that because I could use this part for the beak, and then I could also use it for the leg, and then as it gets darker, use this part. And save this for a rainy day. Okay. Well, I just thought of that. I'm glad somebody said something about the color behind. So we're just going to throw that one in the box and we'll go prepare this one. And I've got everything in the way, of course. So we need to move stuff out of the way so that I can press it. That's all right. What happens when you're on limited space, right? And you're trying to do something. And we'll press this and cut another. It needs to be cut differently. This was not one of the pieces I bought. This is one I had in my it was a leftover from my other project. But there's plenty of it here. I can get some lights from it and some darks from it for the bird. And how big is that section? Let's see. How big is that? It's not very big at all. So yeah, that would be awesome if you could get extra cameras, Susan, because then you could show your machine while you're sewing and still be up in the corner talking, right? I was going to do it in StreamYard, but StreamYard wanted $39 a month if you wanted to add another camera. So I did some research and found an open source program that allowed me to stream to YouTube. And use, well, right now I've got 3 cameras. I could probably do more. You just have to resize the window of them. If I can figure out how to get just my laptop on again, that would be neat. That way, when I'm doing stuff like this, it's showing my entire area. But I would have to resize and everything. But since I'm just learning the program, that's okay. Yeah. You could, like, instead of, well, if you didn't have an area for an overhead, you could just show a side view of your cutting area and stuff. But you have a lot more room than I do. Um, my sewing area consists of my sewing table over here, a shelf to the side, and I got along this whole wall. So mine is kind of stretched out. And then behind me is a dining room table, and mom has all of her stuff on the dining room table, and then against the wall she has her sewing area. So we've kind of split. We don't use the dining room, so she uses the dining room table with her cutting mat, and she got a little cart, and I made her an ironing surface so that she could iron right there. And if she needs to cut something big, she just comes over to my table, because my table is 8 foot long and it holds a big cutting mat. So I told her just come to my table if she needs something cut. And if she needs a bigger ironing surface, she can use my ironing surface, or she can get my ironing board out. And then I made her a design wall. And then I made my own design wall in the other room, because there's just no wall space and nowhere to put a design wall. My last design wall was hung on a curtain rod on PVC pipe above the curtain over the window. And then I would slide it out of the way when I wanted daylight. And then when I was working on a quilt, I would pull it back so I could see my pieces. All right. And then I had to find a table. When mom got me that scanning cut for Christmas, I had to find a table that would fit between my ironing table and my cutting table. Which was a trick. We had to go through the whole flea market area, and then I had to scoot everything down a little bit to make the table fit. But it actually is perfect size. And it has drawers, which is a good thing. And I think this fabric is a Jason Yenner fabric. He's got gorgeous fabric. It's, I don't know if it's a batik or a print, but it almost looks like batik. Because I use this in another quilt, I believe. I try not to have any left over, but I did of this. We'll put the clip back on this. Bring my strip over. That's good. Well, I had to buy an arm thing for me. Awesome. I was excited to get this little camera on 50% off. All right, move your starch. Now I need to find a section for the beak. I think that's the lightest section. Yeah. So needs to come to here and here. We're going to cut a little past so I don't mess up and not cut in the right area. And then to here, so we'll cut on this seam that I didn't iron out, obviously. I'm going to have to turn this light on. I hope it doesn't wash out the camera. See what it looks like over there. That's way behind. All right. I don't even know how long this is going to take me here. Right there. I gotta go to the window again. I'm going to get my light box out if it once it gets dark. Go clear to here. Did I fold wrong? I think I folded wrong. No. Okay. I just couldn't see it because I had that fabric over it. All right. I'm going to flip this back as it needs to sew. Oh, I got it wrong. Doggone it. You hold it up like this. And then flip it back. We got to have some up here too. All right. Now flip it back because last time I'll hold on to it and get that edge flipped out. So when I sew it, I'm going to get a pin. Hello, Juanita. Good to see you here. Glad you could join us. I'm doing the project there on the left of the screen. I'm going to flip it over and trim, actually. See if I'm getting that light color, I think. I might need to scoot it down a little bit. I'll scoot it down just a little bit. Hopes of capturing that light color. So when it's, yeah. All right, that's going to work. Now I'm going to trim this before I sew it. I'm going to trim it to my quarter. I actually think I've got another piece of another colorway that this pattern's going to need. I'll worry about that fish when it's on the hook, right? All right. Move these out of the way. And I actually put a light blue thread in. I thought about a gray or a black, but decided against it. So I'm going to see where that out far enough. Let's see. Yes. Just triple checking myself. Don't really want to bring the seam ripper out. I don't have to. Now I've also noticed that on my foot that I'm using, it has this edge right here. This edge right here. If I line my freezer paper up with that, my needle usually will miss my paper. Yep. And go right in. So I kind of watch that too. And then also I'm at a 1/4 of an inch on my seam tape. And I don't backstitch. I don't know if I should. I mean, that could be a personal preference too. I'm going to sew right off the fabric again. And I am going to unpin. Oh, move my camera. I got to figure out a way to make it sturdy right there. And I'm going to press this now and pray for the best. Because actually this Blue Heron is a little challenging for me. It's a bit different from what I'm normally doing. And I think it's like the piece sizes, right? It's okay. It'll all work. And mine's a little bigger than Karen's. Hello, Nancy. Good to see you here. Now let's see. Need to fold here so I can trim that. I usually like to pre-fold, but I didn't today because I redid this because I started cutting them apart like it said, and I wasn't real keen on that. I'm just going to sew those pieces together and then add them where I can, right? So let's see. All of this actually needs trimmed. Let's trim that first. A 1/4 of an inch. And if anybody wonders, I absolutely love the Martelli cutter. And the reason I love it, I no longer have shoulder pains when I stand up and cut. And it's because of that cutter. All right. This one we're going to throw away. This one goes in the box. Now we can fold this back, trim this off. And I'm going to trim it all the way down. Now, it has a flat side on it at the very end of the beak. And I think that's because once you sew it, it might come to a point. I don't know. So I'm going to do my 1/4 inch all the way across. And that'll be cutting off this B1 fabric as well as O. This one I'll throw away, and the other one goes in the box. And I think while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and trim this little bit off here. Paper and all. I cut all my paper seam allowances. So that leaves me with this. And the beak ends right here. I'm going to press this down so it stays in place. Now, kind of moved when I pressed it. Let's see if we can't move it back. Because we want that 1/4 inch for that outside that I just trimmed. So, all right. I think it moves easy because it's such an awkward piece. There. Now it's in place. Now it goes to here. But I'm going to leave it for now. And I need to look at this and see what we need to sew next. Because we've got, I don't know if you can see it. We have 1, 2, and 3 sewn on. 4 and 5. Looks like 4 and 5 are next. So I need to sew 4 and 5 together, which is B1 and B2. I'm sorting it here. Let's see if I have enough scrap of B1 and B2. Do a B2. Don't think. Oh, it'll be close. All right. Let's put a seam in this and see what we can do. So I'm just going to sew these together. Thank you, Gladys. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to sew these 2 pieces together with 1/4 inch seam. Right to my finger. I'm going to press them open. They actually need to go right here. on my ruler. I'm not I'm not talking much. I'm thinking in my head. You know that thing when you're driving and you got to turn the radio down so you can see? It's kind of one of those things. All right. Now let's see. So it needs to be like this. And it needs to come up. I'm down too far. I'm doing it wrong. Doing it wrong. Face down. I know. May not have been a big enough piece. I think what might help is if I trim this one so I can see where I'm actually at, because that fabric's throwing it off. So I need to trim it B1 or at 1. Did I put the wrong fabric there? I did. And I didn't even catch it. And that's probably because I'm going B1. It's A1, but B2 fabric and B1 fabric. This is supposed to be this. This is supposed to be this. You know what? Why don't we just start over? All right. I'm okay with that. Am I still live? Keep showing something about an error in YouTube. Oh, it might because I have a program open. Hold on. Let me close something. Wrong program. Try that. All right. Guess what we get to do? Or maybe I'll just end the stream and start all over afterwards. How long have I been on? I don't know how long I've been on. I've been on for over an hour, so this is a nice example of getting confused. I'm saying B1 and B2, and I got the fabrics backwards for 1 and 2. I put fabric B1 over here and fabric B2 over here. Hello, Charlotte. Good to see you. I've been on for an hour. I don't know if you ladies want to watch me. Yes, wrong piece. I don't know if you ladies want to watch me redo those pieces or not. I'm a little aggravated at myself. because I had this sewn together and was getting ready to do another piece, which would have come across here to make the beak. But it's not any good because these two pieces need to be in the opposite position. It's snowing really hard again too. Do you ladies want to watch me resew it, or shall I just call it a night? Right now, I'm upset with myself. That's funny. Well, it can get confusing because you're saying B1 and B2, and then it's 1 and 2. And I just got my B1 fabric in the wrong place and my B2 fabric in the wrong place. So, accidents happen, and I'm glad I caught it before I sewed this whole thing together, right? They are a little bit, a little bit. But, these, you can see them, that light. Hang on. So, B2 and 4, B2 and 1, and when you're saying it out loud to yourself, you sometimes get confused which goes where. So, I don't know if you ladies want to watch me start all over again, or just wait until next week when I'm on another section. I know that, Charlotte. I just, it's frustrating. You get going and you think you got it going, and you look and you're like, oh no, well, I sewed them colors in the wrong place. And then I had to find another section of that for the, well, I I might be able to rescue this piece for the beak, because that actually turned out to be, it's backwards, whatever. It actually turned out to be a nice color for the beak right here. So you want me to go ahead and keep sewing some and try it again? I don't have a problem with it. I just thought I'd been on here an hour. I might have been boring everybody with the same thing over and over again. All right, let's try it again. So, B1, which is fabric 1, goes here on 2. B2 goes over here. Wait a minute. B1, B2. That's B1. Okay. I'm double checking again to make sure I did it wrong. If not, I was going to put it right back on there. So, fabric B2 goes over here. Fabric B1 goes over here. Hello, Patty. Thank you. I'm just glad I did it before I finished the whole head of the heron, right? Let me turn this backlight on because it's starting to get dark and I'm having trouble seeing, and that other light is kind of beating up that camera. That might help. Hopefully that won't beat up the camera too much. You can always loosen one of them light bulbs if it does. That's not too bad. All right. So fabric B1, fabric B2. So for spot number 1, we need fabric B2. So we're going to go ahead and press this fabric. We're going to start all over, ladies. Fabric B2 goes right here in the number 1 spot, and we're going to press it in place. Move all these scraps, throw them in the bin, starting all over. All right. I know we got this. And Patty, I keep forgetting to answer your email. It is the spring garden swap was the vegetable blocks, 8.5 by 8.5. So B1 gets folded here. I'm going to trim that fabric. I really appreciate all of you joining me. Thank you, Karen. I do beat myself up a lot. My mother yells at me for it, but you know, whatever. We're going to go ahead and trim this off. Set it aside. I actually put too big of a piece on here, but you know what? I don't care. Trim that. B2. I'm going to go ahead and trim this other side while I'm here. Folded. Stay on there. It's what I earned you there for. All right. Didn't want to stay because I'm folding it all wonky. All right. Stay down there. Heaven to Betsy. I'm just going to go ahead and sew. I had to reposition it. It wouldn't stay. I'm going to go ahead and sew some B2 there. I had to retrim since the fabric wouldn't stay where it was supposed to stay. Good grief. You'd think I was drinking. I don't drink. 1/4 inch. That one's trash. How big is 2? B1, B2. I obviously didn't cut enough. That's all right. All right. This needs to cover all of B2, B1, section 2. We're going to hold it in place while I flip that out, because that's how it needs to be sewn. I'm actually going to iron it down. Doesn't move on me. And then trim that piece of fabric where I'm getting ready to sew. Now I'm going to go over here and sew. My signal is going in and out, by the way. I think it's all the storms between snow and wind. I'm like, well, hopefully I'll get to do some of my live. That right where it needs to be. Go. The microphones have actually made a big difference in the sound of my sewing machine. My sewing machine is not loud, but look at what I did. Wow. My sewing machine is not loud, but it sounds loud on StreamYard. Do you see what I did? My fabric was folded, so we're going to undo a couple stitches. Go back and sew it again. I don't know how that happened. YouTube's not receiving enough. I don't have anything else open in my program, and I know it's my internet. It's showing green lights, but it kept pausing on us earlier today. There we go. All right, we're going to resew that. Let's press that back down now. Hopefully it'll stay this time. Not make me bring out Jack the Ripper. And I'm just going to sew all the way down. Even though I just needed to sew that little section that got folded under, I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole seam. Exactly, Charlotte. Not a BYO? Yeah, well, you can bring your own drink if you want. I just don't drink. I think the last time I had a drink was a New Year's Eve by myself, and I had one daiquiri, and that was 4 years ago. Yeah, I'm just not much on alcohol. Too many bad things to do in my past to even enjoy it, actually. And that's what, things like that are meant for enjoyment, not for overindulgence, right? So I'm going to fold this, and I'm just going to finger press right now where I sewed the line. Now we have the colors in the correct position, which is awesome. I'm over here at my iron. My iron is right next to me. That's okay. It's a bring your own fabric too. And why are you not sticking? Hey. All right. So how was everybody's Christmas and New Year? Did you guys have a good time? Because I really haven't asked that yet. Now, let's see. Oh, I got a headache starting. Don't do it. I'm going to fold this here. My laptop's in the way. Hold on. I'm going to scoot you guys back. I'll go take some Advil. That hurt. Where that came from. All right. Get this folded so I can cut that fabric. So I fold it back. Is my camera working? Well, I think my camera quit working. Hold on a minute, ladies. There we go. That's better. All right. I actually think that sections, like they're suggesting that you, in the pattern, it suggested that you cut this whole thing apart. Thank you, Karen. What she said. They actually suggested cutting apart, and I started to do that and decided I did not like these little pieces for paper piecing. I will sew these two fabrics together and then add them before I cut them apart. See, this is coming off my paper. We got to fix that. Oh, no. And yours is smaller, Karen. Oh, my word. I got to pin my pattern on. I glued it down onto the freezer paper because it wouldn't fit in my printer. This section was too big. I did that with all of them, and I was afraid that stupid glue wouldn't stick. Yes. So when I get to that, that's what I was getting ready to do when I realized I had put section 1 and 2 in the wrong order. I was going to sew, which I had sewn 4 and 5 together and was getting ready to place it here. But I'm going to need a bigger piece of B1 and B2 for that. So I'm not taking it apart. I started to, and my word, I can't imagine. Let me see if I can find it. I cannot imagine doing that with the original size, Karen. What did I do with it? Good grief. Because I'm like, yeah, no, not going to happen. Oh, it's right here under the fabric. So I started doing that. And I'm telling you, I cannot see paper piecing that together. I would rather do it all on this than to cut all. I started to, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I listening to them? So these actually need to go in the trash because it's a no. So once I get these I'm gonna trim this real quick. Trim all this off. And you know, I think I would lose my head tonight if it wasn't attached. It's like, where's my ruler? Well, it's right there. Glad to hear you had a good Christmas. We're getting our first real snow, and it's been pretty ugly. We don't have much on the ground. We might have gotten an inch. But we had 50 and 60-mile-an-hour winds. And the snow is coming down sideways. And it dropped from 48 degrees, which was nice, to 21 with a real feel of 13. And the furnace couldn't keep up because the wind was blowing so hard. And we shut all of the, except for this one window here, all of the heavy curtains we have to help block the wind. And it actually had to go get heaters to help heat the house because the furnace couldn't keep up. All right, now I need to fold along this line and trim. Yep. Snow, snow. You got snow, Karen? Probably got feet of it, don't you? Well, let's make sure before you trim it. Okay. That's a yes. Excuse me. Trim this to 1/4 of an inch. Actually, trim that off because it is actually long enough. All right. So that's B1 and B2. Now we need O again. And I don't really like that light section. See if we can find a good light section. Because I don't think that's going to be enough light. It's going to get into the dark. We're going to set that one aside. Let's see what we got here. Dry and 23 degrees. Maybe this. There's some way back here, but I hate chopping up fabric, right? Let's see, if I take a strip, what's the next strip? Not any better. Well, we're just gonna go for it. Hold on to your hats, lady. We're just going for it. I'm gonna cut a 3-inch strip off. One, two, three is here. Gotta come down. I can't see my line. So my granddaughter's selling Girl Scout cookies, and she's been in Girl Scouts for 2 years since she was 6. She's 8 now, and she's never met her quota. And my daughter hadn't told me that she was in Girl Scouts, and she knew. And she told me this year because I didn't know she was in Girl Scouts. And my daughter said she hadn't met her quota. So, of course, Grandma went and bought 10 boxes of cookies. And then my boyfriend bought 6, and I got the neighbors to buy 5. So she has met her quota. What? Oh, my ruler. This is a command hook. I put it on because I have the hardest time picking my rulers up. It's on this ruler. I don't know if you can see it. It's a command hook. It's on this ruler, and it's on both of my 2 big rulers, and I actually have it on one of my square rulers because I have the hardest time picking those rulers up off the table when I'm cutting. And I don't with this little hook. And they're not much at the Dollar Tree. And Charlotte, I don't mind that you ask questions. I appreciate the questions. Now, my little square rulers, I don't have them on my square rulers. My square rulers don't have them. But my most used rulers, all 3 of them have them. And actually, I think my 60-degree ruler has one. But I always get the clear ones so I can see through them. And they're not that much at Dollar Tree. It does. It works just like a little handle. So I just grab it and pick it up. And it helps me move it around. Because when I try to pick these up, sometimes I can't pick them up. And I also use the command hooks to hang things up on the wall too. But I'm like, I'm just going to use it on my ruler. So if I get the clear ones, you get the clear ones, you can still see through them, right? All right, let's see. Hello, Piper. I need light section again. We're going through this again, ladies. All right, let me think about the Blue Heron for a minute because there's some dark gonna intrude on that. Maybe a little darker towards the back of the face will be okay. Do that. What was that all about, Piper? Because I need a 1/4 of an inch here. It's going to come all the way back here. Maybe if I turn it around and put the dark at the, I don't know. Yeah, it is. The wrong side, but it's not gonna match. If I flip it wrong side, it won't match the legs, and the legs, because this is printed, it's not a batik, so it's gonna end up with a little dark somewhere. All right, so we need to flip this over. I'm going to have to get my light box, ladies. It's gotten too dark. I can't see. Look out, Piper. Got one of them old light boxes. Still works, though. I hope I don't blind you guys with it. Now, the only thing about this overhead camera, Susan, it does not zoom, which that's okay, I guess. A hot iron. All right. Try to figure my fabric. How big a piece? Right to here, I guess. Ha 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 ha. You're funny. Let's see. Just not behaving, fabric. And it's making, I don't want to blind you, but I've got to see from top and bottom, and I'm having issues doing it. There we go. All right. From there to there. Actually, that might just work. Right like that. I'm going to flip it over now. Hold it in place. Oh, I turn that out. And I'm going to get me a pin. I'm going to pin that. Now, where am I going to put the light? You know what? I'm so crammed up in here. Did I mention that I had a dog at my feet too? Okay. I'm probably going to need this again, so I don't really want to unplug it, but we can get it kind of out of the way. But we got to keep the cord away from the iron, because that'd be a bad thing, wouldn't it? Get one of these clips to hold it out of the way. There we go. All right. That was Mom's, and she gave it to me because she doesn't do stuff like this, right? All right. So we need to fold. I got a straight pin in the way. The one I just put in is in the way of my fold. Let's get it off to the edge a little more. I mean, it still works. I know it takes a lot of space. One of these days I might decide to go ahead and stop. Lordy day, there's nothing there. Stop it. Piper. She doesn't have that puppy bark anymore, does she? Piper? All right, I'm not going to trim it yet. I was going to. I normally do, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to sew it. And if I don't like it, then, well, my camera. I know I bumped it. I didn't mean to. Oh, and it's dead. Oh, for crying out loud. Hold on. There we go. Don't know what you see, Piper. Stop it. All right, I bumped it. Let me turn it a little bit. All right. See if that's right. Okay. I am just going to sew to the edge of fabric 1. Not unless there's a deer out there. But I don't see a deer, so I don't know what she's barking at. We get a lot of deer. I actually have a trail cam set up in the backyard. And I had one of this year's fawns come up and nose the camera, which I thought was really cute. I don't see what she sees, but the windows are all messed from the snow. Gotta unpin it. All right, now I'm gonna trim that. Because if I don't, it's just gonna mess with everything. Good grief. I don't know. She's a mess. She goes from growling to crying because it's out of her sight. She's so funny. All right. Get this flipped over. Get it finger pressed. That seam. Get that seam laying down. I think that'll be okay for the beak. Listen at that silliness. Listen to that silliness. I don't have any idea what you're seeing. I'm going to run the iron on that. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. Could be a cat, could be anything. All right. So I'm gonna trim right here along the outside seam guide. And it goes to here, so I can cut. I can cut it right here. I think that looks okay for the beak. I gotta cut some more off though. Hold on, and then you can see it. Back. You know, I should have changed my blade. All right, let's do that while I'm thinking about it. Press that in place first, though, because I don't want it slipping on me again. Excuse me. Mom's dog's barking now, as Piper is. All right. That's what we have. A little slow. And the pieces are in the right place this time. Am I even in the camera? It shows me in the camera. So that's the beak. And remember, a 1/4 inch of that is going to be sewn in the seam. So I think that'll be okay. Mom, can you take Piper out? Yeah. Okay, thank you. She was asking, put that other harness on her. Because she was just barking at something, and you'll have more control with that other harness. Okay. Now, what fabric's next? B1 and B2 again. Remember, this is where I realized I messed up. And I'm actually, I think that one's big enough. That is B2. And it goes right. No, if I turn this light off, it goes right here. So B2 goes right there. And then B1 goes right here. So I am actually going to sew them together first. And then they'll get sewn across this seam here. So this is going to be a tricky spot for me, I think. This needs pressed. I've figured out how to get that. Because it's going to be opposite. I need that light box again. Because it's going to be opposite of what I'm visualizing it. So B2 goes here. B1 there. Thank you, Patty. So if I do this seam here, let's just sew it and sew it together. Just going to do a 1/4 inch seam on it. Sew those two pieces together. Oh, sorry, I forgot to switch cameras. And I'm going to give it a press. I know it says press open, but I'm just not a press open kind of girl. I don't think this piece is big enough. It is, but it isn't. Let's see. I don't know how I'm gonna. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Well, if I do it right there, okay. Oh. This is a tricky little bit here. Because I have B1 and B2 together. It actually needs to be sewn down like this. Any suggestions? I'm kind of struggling here right now. I know it needs to be face up and then flipped over. B2 needs to come here, and then when I flip it up, oh, it's upside down, Peggy. All right. And then when it flips up, it needs to land right there. Right? I think that's right. But I need to get that seam exactly on that line, so it needs to go. No, don't listen to the seam allowance, Peggy. Even with this stinking light box. Even with this light box. Needs to be. I'm actually, what I'm doing is I'm putting my threads, these threads right here. I don't know if you can see it. I know I'm kind of washed out, but I can't see if I don't. I'm putting these threads on that line. And trying to make sure it covers. I don't think that piece is enough. That one piece isn't enough. I should have just went ahead and sewn this big piece right here on. All right. Let's rip this out and we'll sew that big piece on here. Thank you, Mom. Did she behave? Did she behave? Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know what was out there she was barking at. I don't know what it was. I just rip every like other 3 or 4 seams or stitches. And then I just pull it apart. It's okay, Karen. You can watch through my struggles. I've done quite a bit of paper piecing, but this one here is a little bit of a challenge. Oh, I threw the wrong one off to the side. Come here. All right, I'm going to sew these 2 pieces together and then revisit this. It'll be all right. give it a press. I think that was my mistake, was just using too small of a piece. All right. Now, line this stitch line up again. I want to make sure it covers before I flip it over. That, and then this has got to come all the way to here. All right, now I'm going to flip, and I'm going to hold, actually I'm going to finger press it. That's a good idea, Peggy. I'm just going to finger press it so I have a line. Good idea, Peggy. So if I accidentally move it while I'm pulling this other out, I know where it belongs. Right on that seam line. Get a straight pin in it. We're going to not hold our breath because we might pass out, but it turns out okay. All right. Now, this area where I'm going to, is that right? Yeah. All right. This is where I need to fold it. And I got that straight pin right in the way. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you have it not in the way? Come on. There we go. Now, hold it there. Straight pin's right in the way. That's okay. I'm telling you. I want to press it a little bit. Maybe it'll hold it down. Try not to move it while I get over here to sew it. I'm going to come back a little bit. A straight pin here, so I want to stop. Well, actually, I could probably take it out. All right, we'll see how we did, ladies. Hopefully it's okay. This gets folded over. It's just a little piece. I think that's right. No. Nope. 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 That's not right. All right. I'm going to have to undo that. And I'm going to have to work it out. And I guess I'll probably end the live. How long have we been running? Way too long, I think. Yeah, over 2 hours. So I really appreciate everybody coming. Does anybody have any questions? I've got this. I don't have enough of this fabric here. I don't have enough of this fabric here um, in the spot it's supposed to be in. So B2, once you fold it back, is not covering enough. It needs to cover from here to here, and it's not. So I've got my angle wrong. Good, Karen. I'm glad it did. But I need more of this fabric. It needs to come here more. So I've got my angle wrong. So I'll work it out and get it on there. I didn't realize that these itty bitty pieces were going to be so hard, but it's actually really hard. I can't see all of your comment. Piper, please stop. Yeah, so it's just I needed this way some more. And even though I had a light box, it's still hard to see. So I'll take all these stitches out and then bring it this way some more. I don't know if that's right or not. I have to figure it out. It's got to come that way some more in order to get more of that in there. I think so too, Susan. But once I get it figured out, I think it's going to be awesome, right? And I actually enlarged mine. Karen's working with the original size, which the original size was at 17.5 by 27. Is that right? And I enlarged mine to a sheet of 24 by 36. Yeah, they're showing cutting them on the dotted lines. I just, no. They're just so small, right? Well, and when I sewed them together, like if I could have done this without sewing them together, yeah, I think so. It's just figuring out, I've got B1 and 2 sewn together, but I thought I had that seam lined up right for this line. But after I sewed it and then flipped it back, it's obviously not, because I've only got this little bit, and I think this whole thing just moved. Yeah. I think it this line from this fabric where I sewed them together should have been cocked this way some to get more of. I'll figure it out. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to keep trying it again, I guess. And the head's got some of the smallest pieces in it, so this is the hardest section. Once it's done, I think it'll be fine. But by then, I'll have gone through all of these other little seamed sections. So maybe I should have started on a larger seamed section. I don't know. I like to start at the beginning. The beginning is A. So I'm going to get off of here, see if I can figure this out, and hopefully next week I'll have something better to show everybody. Thank you, Susan. I'll talk to everybody later. Have a good night.